Most men never hear this, but women respond to it on a completely different level than looks, money, or confidence alone. And the strange part is, it's usually the smallest behaviors that decide whether she feels nothing or feels deeply drawn in. Think about it for a second. How many times have you seen a man who looks like he has everything together, yet still struggles to build real emotional connection with women? It's because attraction is rarely about what men think it is. It's not about trying harder, talking more, or proving yourself. It's about understanding the subtle psychological triggers that most men completely ignore. And once you see these patterns, you don't chase connection anymore, you create it naturally. One of the strongest truths in attraction is this: women don't just respond to words, they respond to presence. The way you make her feel in silence often matters more than anything you say. Most men miss this completely because they focus only on impressing instead of connecting. For example, physical touch is one of the most overlooked elements in emotional bonding, not in a forced or inappropriate way, but in a calm, respectful, natural way that creates comfort. A simple, gentle, intentional touch at the right moment can communicate safety, care, and emotional stability more than a long conversation ever could. It's not about technique, it's about intention. If your presence feels grounded and calm, she feels it instantly. If it feels anxious or needy, she feels that too, and that's where most men fail. They rush connection. They try to force chemistry instead of letting it build naturally. Real attraction grows in comfort, not pressure. Another powerful shift comes from how you interact playfully. Flirting is not about trying to impress or win approval. In fact, the moment you try to impress her, you lower your value in her eyes. Real flirting is light, effortless, and slightly playful. It creates tension without pressure. It makes her curious without making her uncomfortable. A man who can tease lightly, smile confidently, and stay emotionally grounded stands out immediately. Not because he's trying to be funny, but because he's comfortable being himself, and comfort is attractive. Then there's something even more subtle that most men completely overlook. Touch in everyday moments, like guiding her gently through a space or walking beside her with calm awareness. A simple, natural hand on her back for a second or two can communicate leadership, presence, and protection without a single word. It's not about control, it's about awareness. It shows that you're present, confident, and not lost in hesitation. Women don't respond to dominance, they respond to grounded strength, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself. But here's something even deeper than physical actions: emotional stability. One of the strongest attractions a man can have is being emotionally steady when she is not. When she is overwhelmed, emotional, or uncertain, she is not looking for someone to fix her. She is looking for someone who doesn't break with her. Someone who can stay calm in the middle of emotional intensity without running away from it. That doesn't mean ignoring her emotions. It means holding space for them without becoming reactive. This is where real masculinity shows itself, not in control, but in composure. Because a woman relaxes into her feminine energy only when she feels emotionally safe, and safety doesn't come from words. It comes from consistency. Another underestimated factor is appearance and presence, like grooming and self-care. Even something as simple as a beard or clean appearance can shift perception, not because of the hair itself, but because of what it represents. Discipline, maturity, identity, a well-maintained appearance signals that you pay attention to detail and carry yourself with intention. But without inner strength, appearance means nothing. It only amplifies what is already inside you. True attraction always starts internally. And then there is something almost every man underestimates completely: shared laughter. Real laughter, not forced humor, not performance, but natural moments where both of you genuinely enjoy the interaction. Laughter breaks emotional barriers faster than logic ever can. It creates a feeling of ease that cannot be faked. When a woman laughs freely around you, her emotional guard drops without her realizing it. That's when connection becomes natural instead of forced. Not because you are entertaining her, but because you are present enough to share the moment with her. But attraction doesn't end there. One of the most powerful forces in how women perceive men is direction. A man without purpose becomes emotionally unstable in relationships, even if he doesn't realize it. But a man who is building something, who has direction, who wakes up with intent, naturally becomes more attractive. Not because of status or success, but because of energy. Purpose creates gravity. It pulls people toward you without effort. When a woman sees that your life is moving forward with or without her attention, she respects you differently. She doesn't feel like she is your entire world, and paradoxically, that makes her want to be part of it more. A man who is overly available becomes predictable. A man who is driven becomes interesting. Equally important is listening. And not just hearing words, but actually listening with full presence. Most people don't listen to understand, they listen to respond. But real connection happens when a woman feels completely heard without interruption, judgment, or distraction. When you truly listen, something shifts in her emotionally. She feels safe expressing herself fully. And emotional safety creates attachment far deeper than attraction alone, because being heard is rare. And what is rare becomes valuable. And finally, one of the most overlooked traits, spontaneity. Predictability slowly kills attraction. When everything becomes routine, the emotional spark fades. But when you bring unexpected energy into moments, even small changes in behavior, tone, or direction, you reawaken curiosity. Spontaneity is not about chaos. It's about being alive in the moment instead of trapped in routine thinking. It reminds her that life with you is not mechanical. It has emotion, surprise, and presence. At the deepest level, attraction is never about a single behavior. It's about energy. It's about whether you are grounded, present, and self-directed, or whether you are chasing validation and reacting emotionally to everything around you. When you stop trying to impress and start focusing on becoming stable, aware, and intentional in how you move, everything changes. You don't force attraction anymore. You become the kind of man that naturally creates it without effort. And that's the real shift most men never reach, not learning tricks, not memorizing strategies, but becoming someone whose presence speaks before words ever do. Because in the end, she doesn't remember everything you said. She remembers how you made her feel.